Welcome back to BudBusters. A lot of things to grapple with in a short amount of time. First up, I am still in self-isolation, just enjoying a bit of sunshine, but if you are instructed to self-isolate, do it for the sake of everyone. Remember the grandparents, remember the parents, remember the great-grandparents in some places, all very important for our world. Moving on, I'm still kind of grappling with this whole idea that the Australian government persists that hairdressing remains an essential service. I find this personally extremely baffling. So if any of you are kind of in a dilemma at home, please hit me up and I will give you tips on how to cut your own hair. It's really not that hard. Now, in the meantime, we've also had a lot of caller complaints coming in, which I'm going to represent with this bar of soap. So please, bar of soap, please explain what the issue was. Well, yesterday you kind of fact-checked your own misinformation, which basically amounts to self-regulation. Isn't self-regulation problematic? Bar of Soap raises a very, very valid point. So the idea of self-regulation is basically promoted by the free market, invisible hand ideologies running rampant throughout the world. The idea is that just leave the market to itself, it'll self-regulate, and that'll bring the best benefits to everybody. Don't need to look very deep into history to kind of realize how problematic this view is. The 2008 financial crisis was basically the result of self-regulation by the banks that went crazy. You can also look at Boeing and their health and safety, which they thought they could also self-regulate, but it turns out when profits clashed with health and safety, they decided to go for profits. And what happened? Multiple planes crashed and hundreds of people died, and it is extremely tragic. Now, the idea of self-regulation, the invisible hand, extends beyond just these two examples and has been rampantly pushed by the rich world onto many other countries throughout different continents, also to the detriment. So if we think of the pandemic now, yes, it is causing lots of grief and will continue to, but also what the rich world has been pushing onto other countries in terms of free market and invisible hand economics has also caused devastation, premature deaths, and extreme poverty over generations and generations. So clearly there's something wrong with this idea of the invisible hand and self-regulation. Thanks for the clarification. No worries, bar of soap. So next time somebody says to you, the market will take care of it, self-regulation is good, invisible hand and all that jazz, well, I'd like you to think maybe of the coronavirus instead. It's this invisible virus that you can't actually see it, but in the end, it quite possibly could kill you. So, why do we have a bar of soap on here in the first place? It's not just a bar of soap. What? I don't like where this is heading. You probably should not. So this bar of soap is to represent the soapbox that lots of us love to get on these days so that we can try and achieve the status of social influenza. Now, social influenza has been around for a long time and is also deeply problematic in itself, and it's something I would like to address. I recognise there is a lot of irony going on here. So, with that, and following the government instructions, they have said at least 20 seconds of hand washing is the best way to minimise the risk of influenza. But social influenza is, in fact, a stronger issue that we also have to deal with. It has been around for a long time. So there's only one way to really address the social influenza, not just by tuning out from these social influenzas, but also getting to the source of the problem. I think I can taste a little bit. This is promising, but it's got a weird texture. Anyway, bye-bye.